All right, guys, we have got our Green Bay Packers preview here. A really interesting team, and I'm excited to kind of get into this one. There are some really, really good portions. There are some upward trajectory portions. There are some portions that need help, and all around a fun team to kind of look through and go through. So why don't we go ahead and jump into it. We'll start with the coaching, head coach, Mr. LaFleur. I think he's a really good coach, a really good play caller. He was right around the middle of the pack in terms of the fourth down stuff I really like. But also a lot of that came with Malik Willis, and you're probably just a little bit more conservative naturally with a backup quarterback, particularly in games where, you have a chance to win. So I think a lot of it came from that. And again, I think he's slightly above average in those things. I'd like to see him be better. But again, a really good play caller, all around a really great coach. Defense, he calls the plays as well, so there's an offensive coordinator, but and then we have the defensive coordinator here, Jeff Hafley. He came in last year and did a really good job. This team was giving up 1.75 points per drive last season, which was very good. And again, did really well with a defense that doesn't have a boatload of talent on it in his first year. So it's kind of similar this year, and you're hoping it even takes a further step forward here. But again, I think they're in pretty good hands here, and it looks like they've at least caught something here at defensive coordinator. So I really like the coaching staff, and hopefully that helps elevate the team here. But now we can go ahead and talk about the roster, and we'll start at quarterback. Jordan Love is here. Malik Willis is the backup. Just a few things about Malik. He looked a bit like a bust, but LaFleur did a really good job in making sure Malik was competitive. He took a bunch of steps at some stage when he was not starting, and looked like a viable backup. So good on him, and good on the staff and everybody in making sure that his career kind of keeps on going, which it looks like it will, at least in a backup quarterback role. And again, LaFleur did such a good job that if Jordan Love were to miss 2 or 3 games and they're winnable games, Malik might win them. So it's an okay backup to have. As for Jordan Love, he is a really interesting player. He's right on that borderline top 10 area for me. I think I have him 12th or 13th. I kind of expect him to end the year in the 8-9 realm. I actually think he's right on the verge of fully breaking out and being an excellent quarterback week in and week out. And again, last year he was really solid. Again, 12, 13 is a really good place to be for quarterback. You're right on the cusp of the top 10. And again, he did a lot of really good things. He still does some bad things. His decision-making every once in a while is really bad. He had that horrible pick out of the end zone. I forgot who it was against last year. That was just like, what on earth are you thinking? There are a couple of those plays last year. He's bottom 10 in bad throw rate, bottom 10 in on target percentage. And everything else is so good that, you just clean those two things up just a little bit and you're really great all the time. So I'm hopeful that he can get there. I think he will get there personally this year, and we'll see. But again, a very, very talented player who looks like he's stepping into a better role, a better role, stepping into a better version of himself and continuing to move forward with his development. And he's surrounded by a pretty good set of talent. So I'm hopeful that he can continue to move in the right direction, and I personally think he will. But until then, obviously, I can't just put projections out on him necessarily. So he stays as my 12th, 13th quarterback. But again, as the season goes, I expect him to make a couple of spot jumps up the ladder there. So you got a good quarterback here, good coaching staff. Onto the running back room, another really good room. Top 10 for me. Josh Jacobs was really excellent last year, and he was taking every snap, it felt like, especially toward the end there. There are those games with Malik Willis where he went for 30 carries, just genuinely put it on his back for a variety, or for a very large part of the season. So just really, really, really good play from Josh Jacobs. He's very, very good in every metric. there's not much to say about Josh Jacobs. He is really, really good. The backup, Emmanuel Wilson, another solid player. He had a really good year when he was healthy last year. His snaps were really efficient, really good. That's what you're looking for out of a third down back. Couple catches here, couple runs here through gaps, and he did that perfectly and is a really good number 2 here. Got Marshawn Lloyd in there, who you hope continues to hopefully take steps somewhere along the way. So it's a really good running back room, and I think even if Jacobs were to go down, Wilson can kind of hold it there. Not like Josh Jacobs light or Josh Jacobs like metrics, but I think he can hold his own at running back there. So I really like the running back room. So a really good start here for the Packers. Wide receiver, another really interesting room. I don't think there's any I think Jayden Reed can be a 1 and can be like that guy on a team. I think he's gonna be that guy on this team, but I don't think there are really any like 1s here. A lot of 2s, or a lot of really good 2s, but I'm not so sure we get to 1 territory with some of these guys. Dubs is solid. Again, Jayden Reed I think is the best wide receiver in this group. Really talented. Looks like he's going to play a variety of different roles this season as well. Really like Jayden Reed. Romeo Doubs, again, another solid high-end 2 kind of guy. Has his issues with drops sometimes and little things like that keep him off the 1 line probably, but still very good. You get Matthew Golden coming in, a rookie that you spent an early pick on. Early returns are hopefully solid there, and he kind of steps in. He doesn't have to step in and be the alpha here, which is the important thing with his development. He can step in and come on the field. He doesn't even have to be out there all the time. Like when you draft a wide receiver normally when you're drafting like first round wide receivers, early second round guys, putting them on the field, you got to be ready to go. He doesn't have to do that. He can play 60% of snaps and just work on his stuff and be himself and all that in this wide receiver room. So positive, I think, for his development and what looks like a pretty talented player. Christian Watson coming off his ACL. That was late last year, so he won't be back for a little bit, and we'll see what he's like when he gets back. I'm not super hopeful Watson contributes a ton this season. Dontavion Wicks, another one who's solid, has his drop problems as well. The route running's really good though, and he does a lot of good things, and then he drops the ball. It's kind of how Wicks kind of operates, but again, a really solid wide receiver otherwise. So again, a lot of talent here. You can even go, Savion Williams is okay. Mecole Hardman's been in the league a really long time, so it's a deep wide receiver room as well. So like this one, obviously you wish there was an alpha 1 in there, and then that would be something else really in terms of wide receiver rooms, but really talented otherwise. Tight end, Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave. Musgrave, I kept expecting to kind of make that leap. He never really did, and he's been overtaken by Tucker Kraft, who's really solid. Above average guy, we have him in the 15th area, and that's because his metrics were kind of in that area last year, and that's the way it is. And again, I don't see any reason why he doesn't move up comfortably as the season goes on, as he gets more reps, as he gets more touches and things like that. But again, his numbers last year were about average, and again, expect him to grow quite a bit and continue in his positive development, which has moved in the right direction really, really comfortably. But these ratings, the stuff I do on Instagram and for the ratings for the teams and the power ratings and stuff, is not about projection. I don't have Tucker Kraft being a top 10 kind of guy on there, which I think he, again, will be at the end of the season. But until he is, it doesn't go into my metrics that way. So it may seem that I'm low on some of these things when we're, looking at those pictures and we're looking at those things. But again, it's not a view of what I think the player will be. It is a view of what I think the player is right at this moment. And again, Tucker Kraft was just above average last year, and I expect him to keep on moving in the right direction. So everything has been really good so far with Green Bay. Really like the coaching, like the quarterback, love the running back room, like the wide receiver room, really like the tight end room. Offensive line, really interesting group. This is borderline top 10 for me. Got Zach Tom in there, who had played like a top 5 tackle last year. He was genuinely really good, and I think he got himself an extension. I'd have to double check, but I think he got himself an an extension there. The rest of the offensive line is solid, not spectacular, but solid. Walker's okay at left tackle. Aaron Banks is okay at left guard. Jenkins is okay. He's going to be moving to center. Sean Ryan there at right guard. All these players are solid, or okay to solid. There's no real standouts here outside of right tackle. And there's no real super, super weak links here, though. There would be places I could upgrade, or but theoretically you could upgrade. But again, you get a really elite guy on the right and solidity across the offensive line. Continuity here as 4 of the 5 are back. Aaron Banks slips in at left guard. So again, a borderline top 10 offensive line, and we'll see where this goes, if anybody can take any steps forward or have any good years here. Last year's 7th in pass block win rate, which is obviously very, very good. 23rd in run block win rate, which is not as good, obviously below average, but when you have a running back like Josh Jacobs, who breaks a lot of tackles and is a big old fella, that kind of goes a little bit under the radar, that it's not that good. But again, slightly below average. You hope to get that number up toward the average mark, and you're looking at way better productivity, most likely from the running back room. So yeah, it's solid. Again, solid. That's as good as we can get it right now, and that's not a bad thing. You're talking 10th, 11th, 12th best offensive line. With the talent you have everywhere else is a pretty good look. So the offense I really like. The offense is in a really, really good spot. Defense is a little bit different. Now, I'm not crazy down on the defense. I don't think it's that good, but I don't think it's like horrific. There are definitely spots you could look at it and be like, hey, we need a lot more here. We can start with the defensive line, which is below average. Rashawn Gary is okay, but has dropped his performances the last couple of seasons. They continue to kind of move in a downward motion, which is not ideal. He's asked to do a lot, and that's not necessarily his fault, but if the pass rush is going to be good, it has to be on him, unfortunately for him. So you're hoping he can kind of make another step forward, or kind of just push back against the decline that's kind of been his career over the last few years. You get Lucas Van Ness, who was not good, not up to speed just yet, it seems. Kenny Clark is okay, just not who he was anymore. Okay is all right. Wyatt is solid enough. He's probably the second best player on the line. Decent at defensive tackle. Brooks is okay backup. Cox, Mosby, they're okay. There's just nothing really great here. And problematic, obviously, in a day and age like this, where quarterbacks can get the ball out quick, wide receivers are crazy shifty. It's tougher and tougher to play corner every year. You need good pass rush, and that's kind of where this team is lacking at the defensive line. And hopefully they can find something or someone, whether it's exotic packages, anything you can get to the quarterback quick, stuff like that. And it's sort of an issue. We'll talk about the corner and the secondary room in a bit, but it's difficult. It's difficult when you just don't have that kind of game changer on the defensive line. Linebacker, a solid group, really solid group. Edgerrin Cooper was great last year. He played like a top 5 linebacker, which again is really good. When your D-line's not great, you need some good run stop in there. You need good coverage. You need extra good. When your defensive line's not getting into the quarterback, you need to be better in coverage. You need to be to a man. You need to be better at run stop to a man. And you have a really, really talented linebacker here in Edgerrin Cooper. Again, played like a top 5 guy. McDuffie, Quay Walker, we're horrible, and that's kind of the problem there. So you get a really great player, and then 2 guys surrounding him who were genuinely really bad. So you're hopeful something steps in there. Isaiah Simmons gets bought in, is kind of an interesting player. As a Giants fan last year, he comes in and he can really make a play here and there, wildly athletic, and then he kind of goes missing quite a bit. So you're hopeful you get a little bit of a wild card there. Hooper was decent last year. Maybe he can step into a bigger role if he continues to play that well. So it's a very interesting group, really weird group. I was just thinking that I think I may have said top 10. I I thought that raw. I've thought about Edgerrin Cooper that way. If I said top 10 for the linebacker room, I misspoke. I meant Edgerrin Cooper. But again, we'll see if Simmons, Hooper, or anybody can just take a step up next to Cooper, and you'll be looking at a better room. Secondary is okay, solid is the way I kind of put it. The safety room I really like. McKinney continues to be a top 5 safety. Really, really good. Evans was also really good last year. Top 30 guy. You can probably argue that you're looking at a top 25, top 20 kind of guy with Evan Williams, and top 5 guy with Xavier McKinney. So the safety room is in pretty good hands. There's not much more you can really do in terms of team building with that safety room. Corner is a bit more of a problem, I think. They lose Jair Alexander, obviously. He moves over to Baltimore. Jair was a weird fella, and he missed a ton of time. I know Jair is a good player when he's on the field for the most part, but again, a player that misses this much time, a player that kind of just gets weird suspensions and does odd things and is hurt all the time, it's not a gigantic loss. Again, for those 5, 6, 7, 8 games he's on the field, he's good, but you're playing a ton of time without him anyway, so we'll see. The rest of it is 2s at best. You're not looking at any number 1 shutdown corners here. Valentine's probably the best of the bunch. Nixon, not great. Hobbs comes in, not great. Bullard, really not great. So it's a pretty thin corner room, and we were talking about the defensive line quite a bit, and this is where the defensive line really comes into play. If the defensive line's not getting to the quarterback quickly enough, corners are out there on islands longer, and the longer they're out there, the more likely they are to get beat. And when you don't have a good corner room, they're going to get beat quicker, and it's a bit of a worry for the defense. So we'll see how that goes. Again, I expect Hafley to do a lot of what he did last year, and hopefully they can continue here. But, you know, there were some games last year, like the Philadelphia game, things like that, where it kind of showed up just a little bit more. Obviously, the better teams with the better quarterbacks and the better schemers are going to be more difficult to stop, but there's a little bit of a jump in terms of middle of the road. That's middle of the road offense is going against this defense, and upper end offense is going against this defense. So it's a bit of a worry for me, that secondary and defensive line combo. If one of them steps up, you get really good coverage, or you get, above average defensive line play, then it mitigates the other one quite a bit. So we'll see if we can get some good play out of either of those groups, but you're hopeful you're getting at least one of them. So yeah, a very interesting team. Really like the offense. Defense has holes, but could be solid enough with the coaching as it was last year. Then we get the schedule. The teams in the NFC North have difficult schedules. It is a very difficult division. You would think from the get-go, obviously there are ups and downs with each team, and there's potential for some teams to be kind of bad here. But for the moment, on paper, they all look pretty good. You start at home to Detroit, which is a pretty big game off the bat. Washington at home the second week, 2 really big games, tough tests. And then you go to Cleveland and at Dallas, and you're hoping you get out of these 4 at 2-2 before you go into your bye, and then you come out on the other side against Cincinnati, which will most likely be one of those barn burners where there are like 80 fucking points. At Arizona, at Pitt, 2 winnable games, but on the road, and that's kind of a theme in this particular schedule. A lot of the games you're looking to win on the road. Again, Arizona, Pitt, Dallas, Cleveland, as you saw, the 3 toughest teams they play are all at home, and it kind of just makes the schedule a little bit lopsided, because those gimmies, quote unquote, Cleveland, Pitt at home, if you want to say that kind of stuff, like at home, they're more gimmies. On the road, you're looking a little bit more 50-50, so it changes quite a bit. Then you get the Rams and Eagles at home after that, again home, and then a bit of respite, but on the road at the Giants here. You may be getting Dart there. Minnesota at home, at Detroit, Chicago. and just a quick 3 there in division. Then at Denver is tough, Chicago on the road, Baltimore at home, and then at Minnesota. So there are no real layups on this schedule, which means if they're going to be good, you're going to have to be good every week. You're going to have to be up every week. You can lose any of these games. Again, I think they're capable of winning any of these games. A lot of their tougher games are at home. I don't see any games on the schedule where you go, maybe scheduled loss. Don't see any of those. But also don't see any on the schedule where you're like, man, there's your scheduled win. You get 1 or 2 of them every year. Not here by the looks of it. So a very difficult schedule. And a very interesting team to look at. But we've got 2 bets here. I like the upside of this team. Again, I think the offense could be really good. I think Jordan Love is really close to taking another step. I think Jeff Hafley's good enough on the defensive coordinator scheming side that he can force or create a pretty good defense like he did last year. So we're going with the upside here. Packers to make the playoffs at -120. That is a $3.50 bet. Very capable of winning 10 games here. And I kind of want to do the high side here, but we didn't do the high side necessarily in wins because of the schedule being so difficult. Like 1 seed, I think they're capable-ish. Division, I think they're very much capable. But we went with something else. Jordan Love to be MVP at +2,500. That is a 70-cent bet for us in our challenge. Any upper end stuff, 2 seed stuff, winning the division stuff, on the back of a really good year and potentially a bad defense. You're looking at stat counting as well. We know MVP, how that voting goes. It never really is for the best player. You get a little bit of narrative in there. You get a little bit of change in there. Just gave it to Josh Allen. We've given 2 to Lamar Jackson. Maybe we switch it up a little bit. Patrick Mahomes is on a 4 seed or a wild card team. Then the path for Jordan Love isn't so crazy if he's a 2 seed here or possibly a 1 seed and they have the best division or you have the best record in the NFC and you're coming from a really tough division and you've made a large step and you're on TV all the time. You get the Thanksgiving game and a variety of other TV games. So there's a world here for Jordan Love and we're going to take that upside. So there we are, Green Bay Packers.